Okay, so this is the video for assignment for week number 9. What you need are the three things that are listed here. You need MsAccess. You need the files provided on Blackboard. If you don't have those files, check week 9. There is a zip file that you need to download and save somewhere on your computer. And you also need the ebook to follow the instructions. For week number 9, we have to follow the steps from page AC154 and AC155. Okay, so again, what you need is MsAccess. You need the files provided by the instructor, which you can find in week number 9. Let's just quickly then go to Blackboard to check the files. You can find the files in week 9. Where is this? This is under oh no, login. Let's just log in here. I'll log back in, just give me a second. Courses. Okay, so this is the course homepage, and you need to go to course materials number 9, week number 9. If you don't have the files, just download the files from this zip file. And once you download those files from the zip file, in this case I saved those over here. You need to download the files and zip it, and then you will have this folder with this structure: case 1, case 2, module review. Please keep these folders, because we are going to need them throughout the next 5 or 6 weeks, in which we will be working with MsAccess. Okay, again, you need, let's go back to what you need to complete this assignment. You need MsAccess, you need the files provided in that zip file, and you download it somewhere on your computer, and you also need the ebook. For this specific week 9, we have to follow the steps from the assignment for this week number 9. We will follow the steps in page AC154 and AC155. Okay, let me just minimize this, and also let me just save this, because this is where I'm saving the files on my computer. Again, this is the ebook. In the ebook, you do have on page AC154, you have the review assignments. We have to follow the steps from step number 1 all the way to step number 20, which is placed on page AC155. Okay, I will just then open MsAccess. Right, you should have MsAccess, which is one of the tools that we need. And in this case, I'll just open the file. Right, so let me just see what file it's asking me to open. It's asking me to open the support AC company ACCDB. There are a number of ways in which you can open this file. For instance, in this case, I'll just open MsAccess and go to this PC. Right, you need to know where you save the file. In this case, I saved it under MsAccess Access 1, and this is the file that I need for this specific assignment: support_AC_1_comp. Okay, I'll just open it up. Open. Okay, and I don't open the file. I have to wait a little bit. Okay, so once you open the file, sometimes you will get the message saying here that you need to enable the database. If you do have that message, I didn't get the message now, click on enable content, otherwise you will not be able to make any changes to the file. In this case, I don't have that message, so I'm good to go. Okay, data file needed for the review assignment is support. How come I cannot see? Let me just try to open it a different way. Okay, so this is the file. This is the folder, Access 1 review. You can just double click here. Okay, I'm just opening the file, and for whatever reason I cannot see the file name. I should be able to. Oh, now I can see it. Interesting. What is worrying me is that I cannot see the file name here. And but say notice that here I can see it, right? So support AC1 company ACCDB. Okay. Let me just then save this file as let's just save this and the same folder for that matter. Review. Okay, I'll say company and I'll save it as Dario. Okay, save it. Just saving it with a different name, no changes. Okay, so then when I did that, you notice that I have this message saying that security warning, enable the content or close this. Do not close with the X, enable the content, otherwise you will not be able to make changes to the database. Enable the content, and this is what you will see in MsAccess. Okay, the only object that has been created in the initial file is the table called business, and that's all we need for now for this assignment. Okay, so now once we have opened the file, we're going to follow the steps that are provided again in page AC154 and page AC155. Okay, so we have the file and we just opened the file. Let's say here for Lakewood Community Health Services, Donna asks you to create a new database to contain information about the vendors that the clinic works with to obtain medical supplies and equipment, and the vendors who service and maintain the equipment. Complete the following steps. Okay. 1. It's even not even asking me to open the file, but I'll just close then this database. Okay. Create a new blank database named vendor. Okay. How do you create a new database? You open MsAccess, okay, and you create a blank database here, okay, and you have to save it. Name vendor, or then I'll save it as vendor. Okay, save as, then okay, and I just gonna save it in the same folder where I have my review files, but I'll say here. Let's say vendor. Let's create another one. So my files, new folder. Name Dario files. You can name this folder as you want, because so I will not be loading this file on Blackboard. It's just that a folder where I know I'll save my files. Let's just do Dario files, and then well, it's asking me to save it as with the name vendor, right? That's exactly what I'll be doing. Vendor, okay, and save it in the folder where you store your files. Yeah, and then this is the folder where I'll be storing my files, right? Do save. Okay, step number 1 done. So this is the Access database. Now, okay, so again, you have this warning here. Always do enable content, otherwise you will not be able to save what the work you will be working on. So do enable content, and at the top you can see your file name, right? So vendor ACCDB, and it's empty. It's essentially an empty database. Okay, that we just completed step number 1. Okay, in datasheet view, begin creating a table. Rename the default ID primary key to supplier, change the data type to the supplier ID to short text. Let's do that. Okay, so in datasheet view, so let's do create a table. Okay, rename the default ID primary key, which is this one. Okay, to supplier ID. Let's just rename it, right? How do I do that? So you see here, you just have to click on the ID, and once you click on the ID, you will see that the whole heading is selected, and at this point I can change it. So in this case, I want this field to be named supplier ID. Okay, to short text, but it's also asking me to change into short text, right? So short text. Oh no, it's Control Z. but at this point I prefer to open the design view and it says where is the table name though. Okay, let's just do table. Okay, here what I can see is that I just have the field name, supplier ID, but the data type in this case is auto number. But the instruction here is that change the data type of the supplier ID to short text, and that's exactly what it will do. I just click on the data type row associated with supplier ID, and instead of auto number, I'll do short text. Okay. So change the data type of the supplier ID field to short text, and that's exactly what I did. I want to delete the second because I don't need it. Step number 3. Okay, step number 3. Add the following 10 fields to the table name in the order shown. All of them are short text fields except initial contact, which is a datetime field. Okay, let's do that then. Okay, the first field is based on these instructions, company. Okay, then I have category. Then I have address. Then I have city. No, that's not city. Then I have state. Oh no, that's not here. State. Then I have zip. Not here. Zip. Then I have phone. Then let me just make this a little bit bigger. So, okay. Can I change? I cannot change this. I'm trying to see more columns here. Okay, I have phone and the contact first. Contact first. Then I have contact last. Okay, and then I have initial contact. Initial contact. Okay. Okay. So let's read again what we are doing, right? So add the following 10 fields. Okay. So I have company, category, city, category, address, city, state, zip, phone, contact first, contact last, and initial contact. Okay. All of them are short text fields except initial contact, which is a datetime field. Where is initial contact? This field is going to be what is it? It's going to be datetime, right? Datetime field. The date it's right here, right? So you can select the datetime. Okay. Resize the columns as necessary to the complete so that the complete field names are displayed. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So then I save my table as the default name in tables in Access. When you create a table in Access, the default table name is table 1, 2, 3, whatever name you may have at that point. But step 4 is telling me clearly, save the table as supplier and close the table. Okay? I believe I can just close the table here, save it, and I'll rename it here, right? So rename here. Instead of table 1, I want it to be supplier. Okay, so then and then I do have all my fields now, right? So exactly what I was asked to do. Company, supplier ID, company, category, address, city, all the way to initial contact, which in this case is datetime. Okay. Now I'll do step 5 in design view. I have to do this. Okay, now let's go to step number 5. So in design view, begin creating a second table containing the following 3 short text fields in the order shown: product ID, supplier, product name. Let's do that then. So I still have my MsAccess file here. I'm going to close this. Okay, and I'll say create. Table design, right? So and they do have this user interface which allows me to add field names. Okay, I'll do product ID, supplier ID, and then the next one is product name, right? Product name. Okay. And the following 3 short field text. So all of them are short text, so meaning there's no need for me to do any changes. But there's one more instruction related to this table. In make product ID the primary key and use primary key as its description. All I have to do is just click in here, and so two things, right? So usually when you create a table, there's no primary keys for those tables. What you have to do is to select the field or fields that you want to be primary keys. In this case, the primary key that I have to select is only the product ID. And that's exactly what that's why I'm selecting product ID, right? Make the product ID the primary key, right? And use that primary key as the description of the primary key. Let's do. I will select this guy here, primary key, and that's, you see this little type of key that it's on the left side of the field name. That's an indication that I just select this as the primary key of this table. Okay? Use foreign key as the description for the supplier ID. Okay, so then let's do this. No, this is not what I'm trying to do. Okay, now what we need now is to create the product ID, the foreign key, right? In this case, the foreign key would be the supplier ID. How do we do that? You have to select the indexes under, say, in the table design. You see the indexes in the show and hide group. You have to click in here, and this will take us to the indexes. One of the indexes that we just created is the primary key, which is the product ID. Has the product ID as its unique field. In this case now, we have to create another index, and in this case, this index would be called foreign key. Foreign key, and the field name would be supplier ID, right? And once you do that, you have to close it. And if you just to make sure you did it right, you go back here, and then you should be able to see this this index. Then the foreign key supplier ID is just a foreign key from this newly created table here. Step number 6, it's asking us to add a field, a new field that will be called where is MsAccess? Okay, so it's creating us to create a new field called price here, right? We can create a field price, which is of the currency data type, right? So in this case, the data type of this field price would be currency, and we have the data type right here. And then you have your step number 7 complete. Okay. Step number 8, it's asking us add the following 2 fields to the table in the order shown: temp control and sterile. Temp control, which I guess means temperature control, and okay, so, and what is it? Sterile. Okay, so, but what we have to do here, instead of the default data type is short text, what we have to change is that data type to yes, no. Okay, and how do I know that? Because of both are of the yes, no data type, and let's do that in Access, right? Data type, and then let's select yes, no. Both will be yes, no, based on the instructions. And there you go. We just did step number 8. Okay. Now step number 9: add the final field called units to the table. So then I have to create a new field, which is of the number data type. Now this is no longer short text; it will be number. There you go. Now next step is step number 10: save the product as product and close the table. So remember, when you guys created tables in MsAccess, the default name would be table 1, table 2, or whatever name. Okay, we have to change that default, at least as per instructions in step number 10. Save the table as product. Okay, let's do it. It's in a number of ways. In this case, I'm trying to close it, and it's asking me, do you want to save the table, the changes to the design of table 1? I'll say yes. And in this case, I will do product, right? So this is the name of my new table, and this how do I know that? It's on step number 10. Okay. And then on the left side of MsAccess, I have now two tables, product and supplier. Okay, they are listed in alphabetic order. That's why you see product as the first table in listed on this on MsAccess. Okay. Step 11, use the navigation pane to open the supplier table. Okay, this is the navigation pane, and then I'm going to just I'm going to open the table. Okay, now enter the records from shown from figure 139 into the supplier table. For the first record, enter your first name, contact. Okay, so essentially it's asking me to populate these fields, right? I'll just do this for 2 of these values. You have to do them for all of them, right? But once you understand how to do the first and the second, everything else should follow the same pattern. Okay. For the first record, it says here, first of all, you have to enter the records that are shown in figure 139. For the first record, enter your first name in the contact first. So in here, it's exactly the same as this, but in here in the first row, your contact the contact first and the contact last have to be your first name and your last name. Okay, period. That's all it's asking us to do. So meaning you need to make changes to this table. Okay. So now let's do that now. So what I would do, I'll put this side by side here because it's I need to see a little bit more so you would see the changes here. So supplier, let's make a little bit. Supplier ID, it is ABC123. Company, ABC Pharmaceuticals. Right. Category suppliers. Supplies address 123 Hobson Avenue, city Manchester. State NH zip. Okay. NH 0312102. Yeah. Phone. What is it? Phone. I'll keep this in a different window. So, but since you have the ebook, it shouldn't be a problem for you guys. So phone in this case it's 603 555 8125. Contact first. Now contact first, right? So remember, contact first. It has to be your first name and your last name. So in this case, let's pretend I'm a student, and my contact first would be Dario, and my last name would be Medina. Okay. Is there something else here? Initial contact, whatever initial contact here, right? Initial contacts, what is it? 9/22/2020, 9/22/2020. Is it 2022 or 2020? Sorry, 2020, right? So that's 2020. Okay. There you go. That's the first row now. So using the same mechanism, you can do the same for the next for the remaining rows on this table, right? So it's essentially the same, right? So AR 912 and so on, and then you should have 3, 4, 5. How many rows do I have? 5 rows, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I'll just not do all of them, but you understand what to do now. Okay. Now let's do step number 13, okay, which is in the next page. Now we're talking about page AC155, right? AC1-55. Okay. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Donna created a database named Support ACC1 Company ACCDB that contains a business table with supplier data. right? So that's what we saw before, right? So the supplier table you created has the same design as the business table. Okay, copy all the records from the business table in this database, and then paste them at the end of the supplier table in the vendor database, right? Okay, so let's then open our supplier table, which is this one, which you should have 5 records. Remember, I just did 1, but you need to have 5. So how do I do that? So first you have to open the support database, right? So which is described here. It's clearly stated here. Name, you need to open this database, right? And what it's telling us is that this business table, okay, has the same layout as our newly created supplier ID, right? So, and it's saying the next goes copy all the records from the business table, okay, from this business table, from the database that was provided to us by in the course materials, right? Copy all of these rows into our newly created supplier table. Okay. How do I do that? All you have to do is just to select these guys here. How do I do that? Just select the first row and then or do Control A, right? Once you do Control A, do right click, or no, or Control A and then right click. That's not let me. Okay, you have to do Control A and then right click somewhere on this layout and then do copy. Okay, you're essentially copying all of these cells, and then you come here to your newly created supplier team, right? You just click on this little star and right click and then paste. Okay, it's going to ask you, you're about to paste all records, are you sure? You do yes. And then you should have 12 plus 5, 17 rows. And if you're wondering why I only have 13, I only have 13 because I didn't add the 5 rows that I had to add from the previous step, right? That's why I don't have them all, but you should have 17 rows. Okay. Now, once we have this, let's just go to the next step, right? So next step is, what is the next step here? Next step is, what is the next step here? Just give me a second. Next step, right? Next step is resize. So yeah, that really doesn't do much. Okay, and then save. That doesn't really matter, to be honest. But let's just save. The important thing is to save this. Try to close this. It should be saved, right? Make sure you have all the rows once you close the database. Okay, once you close the table. Now, close the supplier and then use the navigation pane to open it. Note that the records are displayed in primary order key by the value supplier. Note that the records are displayed in primary key order by the values in the supplier field ID. That's an interesting comment, right? So remember when we created this table, we stated that supplier ID would be the primary key, right? Primary key essentially means you cannot have 2 rows that have the same field, the same value in the supplier ID field, period. Okay, that's why, so you cannot find that. So ABC12, AC, BR, none of these values here can be the same for each individual record. Okay, that's the very definition for primary key. Now, the interesting part also is that because of that's the primary key, the table itself will be sorted by the supplier ID. Just because so by default, Access does that. Access will just sort your tables based on the primary key, and that's exactly what you see here, right? Even though the order in the initial table wasn't the same, in this initial table I do mean the table that's provided to us by in the company ACCD1, right? So once you paste it here, they will keep that order. Okay. Now, step 16 is use the simple query wizard to create a query that includes the company name, category, contact first, okay, in that order from the supplier table. Okay, name the query supplier list. Okay, so it's asking us to create a query. In the query, we have to include the fields company, category, 1, 2, company category, contact first, contact last, and phone fields in that order from the supplier table. Name the query, supplier list, and then close the query. Okay, so then we just have finished the work with tables, right? Now let's start working with queries. How do I start working with queries? You have to open, you have to go to Create tab, and it's asking clearly to open the query wizard, right? So query wizard, and once you have this query wizard, there's a number of options. Just select the first, which goes simple query wizard, and then you do OK. Okay, and now in this next window, you should be able to select the tables that you want to use for your query. In this case, we want to use the what is the table? From supplier table, right? Right, that's exactly what we want. So and let's see, by default it's the supplier table, but you may have more. The default might be in product. Make sure you're selecting the supplier table here. And it's asking us to add the fields company category in that order, right? So then meaning you have to select company first, okay? How you select the fields that will be placed in your query. Just click, highlight the field, and then you see this little arrow pointing to the right side of the selected fields. You just click it there, and once you see the field on the left on the right box, which is the selected fields, that would mean that your field will be part of that query. Okay, that's the first field. The second field is category. Let's do category. Where's category here? Do I have a category? Is it category? Category. Where's category though? Okay, so category is right here. So I do have category. Select category now, and the same idea, right? So you click it, you highlight the field, and then you push the little arrow, and then the fields that are listed here under the selected fields column will be the fields that will be in then part of your query. Okay, that's the second one. The third one is contact list and the contact last, right? Contact list first. This is the next one, contact last. By default, it's taking me to that one. Contact last, and then what else? Phone fields, right? So there's one field called phone. This is the one. Okay, you have to follow this this order because of it's asking us to do the same, right? So if you read this again, use the simple query wizard to create a query that includes this field in that order, right? So really, it's clearly stated here in that order from the supplier table. And then once we have all of our fields, which we have them now, I am going to name the query supplier list. Okay, I'll do next, and it's asking me what title you want to work with the query. This really doesn't matter, but what matters is the name. Okay, well, let's just change this. I don't think this will matter, but supplier. I don't really know if the default it will be the same as the title, but let's just finish it. Yeah, it's the same as the title. It shouldn't be the case, but the title will be used also as the query name. Okay? And then you have a query, which is really and truly just a question to a table. Okay, it's not really data in itself. It's just that it's in the query you can state what fields do you want and the conditions you want to, for the rows to be on the final output. In this case, there's no conditions. It's just listing a few fields, a subset of the fields that you have in the supplier table. Okay, so you have company, category, contact first, and phone, right? Now, step 17 is use the form wizard to create a form from the supplier table. Include all fields from the supplier table on the form, and use the columnar layout. Save the form as supplier info, and then close it. Okay. Let's just do save this. You wanna do? Now we have to create a form, right? So now let's go to where's form? It's asking me to use what? Form wizard. Form wizards right here. Okay, so I'll just click. Where is that? It's under the create menu, and then in the forms group, which is somehow similar to what we had in the MS project. I don't know if you remember. We had the menu, and then we have the groups, right? Now you have to click on Form Wizard, right? And again, here, once you're creating a form, you need to specify what is your data source, right? For that form, right? In this case, we are very lucky because it's also pointing at supplier as the default table for this form. Okay, so include all fields from the supplier table, right? So if you want to include them all you have to do is do Control A, okay? Or if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that will allow us. Yes, if you just click on that, you see this, instead of one arrow here, you have the little two arrows. If I click here, all the fields that are available on the left side will be placed on the selected fields column. Okay, that's exactly what I'll do. So then I need them all because of that's what it's asking me to, right? Then include all the fields and use the columnar layout. Let's see where we can specify that. Next. And then by default it does the column arrangement, right? You may have different ways to do this, but it's asking us to do columnar. I'll just do next. The title, right? So in this case, the title it will be supplier info, which for whatever reason it shouldn't be. It's taking the title as the file name. Okay, so let's just do the same, right? So we're going to provide the title, and that title will be used as the name for the form. Okay, then I'll do and then close it. Okay, then I'll do finish, and you will see that there will be a new file here under the forms objects, which is called supplier info. Right. What it does is that this form will allow us to add more data into this table. Period. Right. So that's in this case you have 13. You should have 17. Remember that. I will have 13 because I didn't add all the records. In this case, as you can tell here, this form is allowing us to, it's showing us the data that you have in the supplier table, but at the same time you can make changes if you want to. Say I can say Dario 123, I can change my phone number, whatever, right? So you essentially use a form to collect data from your data source. In this case, your data source is the supplier table. Okay. Now, once we are done here, it's asking us to close it. Okay, I'll close it. Then I closed it. And step 18, it's asking us to do a report. Okay, using the report wizard to create a report based on the supplier table. Include these fields. Include the supplier, company, and fields. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm going to create a report now. Essentially the same. You guys go to create, but now instead of we don't want a query, we don't want a form, we want to report, right? So we're going to select report wizard, and based on the instructions, what it's asking me to do is okay. Where is it? The supplier ID. Okay, this field. Company. Where is company? Oh, right here, a second. And phone, right? Where's phone? Here. In that order, and sort the report by the supplier ID. Let's just go one more. Do you want to supply? It's asking us to sort it. Where is this? And sort the report in the sending is tabular layout. Okay, but it's not asking us to. Okay, so in this column you don't have to do anything, just do next. But it's here in the next window in which you have to select the order, right? So how you want to sort your report. And it's clearly telling us here that, where is that instruction? And sort the report, right? So by the supplier ID field. And now you have to select which is the field you're going to use to sort it. In this case, I want to use it by, I want to sort it by supplier ID. You can have more, but in this case, that's all we need. And in ascending order, that's what we have here in ascending order, right? Use a tabular layout and save the report as supplier details. Maybe next one someone asks us for the tabular or the type of layout, right? So in this case it's tabular. And then close it. I'll do next. And then save the report as supplier details. I'll save it here as supplier details. Okay. And then close it. Okay, so then you have your report, right? So the report is exactly that. Right? So you just pulling data from a data source and just displaying it for you. Either you can create a CSV file or you can print this out. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. Okay. Now, close the supplier table and then compact and repair the vendor database. Okay, this is my vendor database, right? So what I'm going to do now is close this. Okay, and it's asking me to compact and repair the vendor database. How do you do that? You have to go to database tools, and under the tools group, there's a compact and repair database. Just click there. It'll take a few seconds. You don't see the difference, but just click there, and it's going to do a few things. One of them being sometimes you have databases that get too large, and when you do the repair database, it just removes the inconsistencies in your database and ends up having a more efficient access file. Okay, and then close the vendor database. One additional thing that I have to tell you guys: you have to upload this file on Blackboard, right? So and using the vendor name. Okay. And that is the end of it. So please, once you're done here, save your file and post it in Blackboard. Okay. Thank you so much.